Welcome back, everyone. I know we took a week off. We did tell you, if you didn't know, then open your ears in future, because we definitely did say. Now, firstly, what I'm going to say, if anyone comments about how shit my hair is, I'm going to continue growing it for the next 2 years, so don't bother. My DMs, I get an influx of DMs saying, like, your hair is fucked. I don't care. It's my hair. I will have it how I like.
Well, you ripped me to shreds the other week about my hair.
You got a DIY home haircut.
Yeah.
I go to the barber. This is how I want to look.
So you pay for that?
This is the new me. Embrace it. But no, seriously, welcome back, everyone. You've probably been missing racing like us. We have got a race this weekend. We're heading to Singapore. So we are going to discuss all things Singapore, all things F1. But while you're here, please make sure you like, subscribe, comment. We love you. We love you. I meant to say we love it when you get involved.
We do love you. We do love you.
Yeah. Make sure you follow us on social media as well. All the links will be down in the description. If you're listening on Spotify, give us 5 stars. Apple Podcasts, 5 stars. I think you can do the same. If you want to follow us and there's no link in the description, just search Racecast in Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. You'll find us and we will be there. Let's crack on.
All right, guys, welcome along to another episode. As Luke said, he loves you. Interestingly, that was real passion when you said that. I love you.
It was like a moment from The Notebook. It always reminds me of, Scott Mills and Chris Stark on Radio 1.
Yeah.
They always end the calls with, love you, bye. That's how they end the call. And they said it to someone once. I don't know why it made me laugh so much. They were like, love you, bye. And he said, love you too. And they were just like, it's not the same. They were like, it's weird when you say that.
I liked it. It was real passionate.
Yeah.
I don't know if Ruth gets that when you tell her you love her, but that
not
was
that
real
much passion. So yeah, really, take that to the grave.
Anyway, guys, I hope you're good. Welcome back. It's felt like a lifetime since our last episode. It's been, 2 weeks? Yeah, You've been on holiday since then. Did you have a nice time?
We did also film on a Sunday. So it's currently Monday. We normally film on Mondays. But I did have a nice holiday. Yeah, it was good. I mean, I haven't been away with Ruth since 2019.
Before lockdown.
Yeah, because I had been away since, but it was with the boys. It was only really Weller and Theo that I'd gone away with.
Yeah, because you've been to New York.
But it was business.
Oh, yeah. Okay, business, yeah.
But that was the only reason I wanted. I couldn't be asked with all the restrictions. Have you got this? Have you got 17 jabs? Have you got a PCR test that we're going to charge you £500 for? And fair enough, I understand. The rules are the rules. I just couldn't be asked to look into it and be like, oh, you need this, and then get to the airport and be like, well, you haven't done this. That's a £10,000 fine. I just wasn't interested. So I just waited until they were all gone. And had a nice holiday.
Good. Well, welcome back, everyone, as we said before. So shall we get into F1 news? There's quite a bit has happened since we've been away. The main story, and this will probably take majority of the episode, is Nicholas Latifi has left, will be leaving Williams at the end of this season.
Now, it's a bittersweet feeling, really, because I think this, I like to think I'm speaking on behalf of most F1 fans.
Yeah.
You sort of grow an attachment to these sort of subpar people that you never actually subpar people. That might be quite harsh on him. But I mean, as a performer in an F1 car, he was not up to standard, and we established that. That's nothing personal. But you grow quite an attachment to them. I still really want him to get points.
I don't.
Yeah, you don't, because you've got to get a tattoo if he does get a point in this season. That bet still stands. Now, next year we'll have to pick someone else. But, I think any team is going to struggle to get someone in that performs at that level.
Yeah, I
especially
agree.
Because of the pool of talent that we do have in... I know Red Bull are looking, AlphaTauri are looking towards the American guy whose name I've forgotten. I was watching IndyCar replays yesterday, but he looks good. And then you've got some quality drivers in F2. Aston Martin have signed Drugovic as their academy driver. So, or youth driver, I don't know what they call them, but, you know, there's so much talent out there. It would be hard to get it wrong.
I
Or
think
that wrong.
I think what we might see now is Latifi is that last part of that era, if that makes sense. That
That sort of you're not good enough era.
Yeah, I mean, of a poor performer era. And I know that sounds quite harsh. And, you know, we joke, obviously, you see loads of memes out there, go Tifi, you know, he's a goat, he's, you know, the incredible driver. We've obviously joked about it because I said I'd get a tattoo if he gets points, and I'm that confident he's still not going to get points. But like you say, you do get an attachment to these type of drivers because you talk so much about them and they kind of become a meme, but you get attached to them.
Yeah. And, you know, you kind of get that thing where, like, okay, it's hilarious that they are performing that bad. But then at the same time, it would be, think of the celebrations if he did get a point. Like, F1 Twitter would go mad. F1 Reddit would go mad. Everyone. I think I would be, put the better side that we have. If he just got P10 in a race, I would be so happy for him.
But you see it, don't you? Like when Albon in Australia got a point for Williams.
Yeah.
You're generally really happy for them because you want these type of drivers.
That would be like times 10 if Latifi did it.
Yeah.
I just think, you know.
Well, you look when he got P10 whatever in Silverstone in qualifying.
Yeah.
He was trending on Twitter because people were so either happy for him or they were like, what? Majority of my DMs were, he's going to get points tomorrow, you're going to get a tattoo, yeah. But yeah, I know what you mean. You've got that attachment with him, but it's such a shame that he hasn't performed.
Yeah, you know, the bottom line is it would have been amazing if he just performed to the standard of the other drivers. And we've said it 100 times here, no driver on that grid is a bad driver. If I tried to race Nicholas Latifi, he would smoke me, right? But you got to remember, we're talking about the 20 best drivers in the world. In theory, this is like the pinnacle of motorsport. Well, like four-wheeled motorsport. I know you've got like MotoGP and stuff, but so, you know, he's just not at that level. And I think it's interesting. Do you think people are going to look at, particularly the last two seasons, Nikita Mazepin, Nicholas Latifi, is this going to get teams thinking like sponsorship money, you know, might not even be worth it at this rate? How hard can it be for teams to get sponsors, right? Particularly now as Formula One is like growing exponentially. It's always been a huge sport. I think Drive to Survive has done it a massive favour. I'm sure lockdown has done it a massive favour because people, I know like it stopped as well, but when it came back, people still were looking for new things to watch.
Yeah.
I'm thinking like now is, as a brand, Formula One is a great place or a great space to get into.
It's global, isn't it? After last year,
you look at the comparison of the Texas Grand Prix from like, I can't remember what year it was. It would have been like pre-COVID to then post-COVID. Insane.
And F1's only getting bigger. 24 race calendar next year.
Probably wasn't post-COVID,
but do you know what I mean? On a whole, it's
so they're
globally getting
they're going to
expanded.
Even more places. And I just think, you know, and I know this has been a long time thing, you know, money drives the sport, but more and more so we're seeing that, particularly with like the general living crisis that we're all having where things are more expensive. So it's going to be harder for kids to get into F1 because it's going to cost more money for parts, repairs, travel, fuel for the car and stuff like that. I just think, is it time that teams start looking away from those drivers that are going to bring sponsorship? You know, because like I say, these drivers aren't necessarily bad. I do think Mazepin was pretty bad, personally.
He was bad.
I don't think he was anywhere near good enough. But, you know, there just comes a time where you think, well, actually, like, yeah, okay, fair enough, they're bringing in some money, but we can get money from elsewhere and just have a good driver.
Well, what do you think about this then? So you look at, for example, Latifi. he brought money in. Have Williams improved? No.
No, absolutely not.
Shoal brought money into Alfa Romeo. Have they improved? No.
No.
Not to an extent of what you would think with that money coming into the team.
And what I also would say here, right, is money talks, but someone like Zhou, who I actually think has come in and performed pretty well for a rookie season in an average car.
He's had unlucky with retirements and stuff, but obviously
the car is, average is kind. I think it's a pretty subpar car.
Yeah.
I think he's done all right. If a driver can bring in money and quality, well, then I understand.
Stroll, Aston Martin, all that money that's been brought in, are they a good team?
Yeah, no. That's the thing. And it does backfire. Although, Stroll was a strange one because I think he actually showed quite a lot of promise.
Initially, yeah, I'd agree with you. He did show a lot of promise.
But yeah, again, I don't think that's worked out particularly well. If you're going to pick a driver purely based on the money they bring to the team, well, then you've got it all wrong. And I feel like that is obviously what happened with Mazepin. Look how that ended.
Yeah.
But then you've got someone like Latifi who, should he have been there last year?
I think you would have given him a chance last year, for sure. But this year, by coming into this year, no, he shouldn't have been given the opportunity. Do you know how many points he's had in his F1 career?
No, but I'm quite curious.
7. So he obviously made his debut in 2022 Austrian Grand Prix. 7 points.
So what I want to know, right, is who is the driver? He's got 3 seasons under his belt.
Yes.
Who is the driver with the fewest points after 3 seasons in Formula One? I know if you watching or listening know right now, or you want to go and research it, DM us or comment down below because I want to know. But if you don't, I'm going to try and find out for next season. Next episode.
This is quite interesting. So he's had a total of 55 Grand Prix. Okay. His best position in a season, that doesn't make any sense.
Why?
Because it's saying 17th, but that's in 2021. But that can't be. Oh, he finished 17th in the Drivers' Championship. That makes sense.
Well, who finished 18th?
I don't know.
Giovinazzi.
Somebody a lot worse. But obviously he's driven for. So in the first season, 2021, he finished 21st in the drivers' standings, 17th in 2021, and currently he is 21st at the moment, which is ironic, really, because there's only 20 drivers on the grid. But
I saw
Nick de Vries.
I saw quite a funny tweet where it was like Williams told Latifi that if he finishes 20th in the driver's standings, he's going to lose his seat. And then obviously he's just gone 21st.
It's so bad, isn't it? It's so bad. Just Capito, Williams CEO and team principal, said, on behalf of the whole team, I would like to say an enormous thank you to Nicholas for his 3 years of hard work with Williams.
Which I don't deny that he's worked hard.
He's worked hard. So I'm going to put this next statement into 2 pieces of context, if that makes sense. So
make it make sense.
He's a great team player who has a great attitude towards his colleagues and work and is well liked and respected throughout the business.
I hear he's a very nice guy.
I hear he's a very nice guy. However, his interviews don't always come across as team player. So, for example, in Monza, Nick de Vries got the points. Mm-hmm. They asked Latifi afterwards, you must be delighted for Nick de Vries. Oh, well, yeah, I felt like we could have got points. Obviously, we dropped back and didn't even congratulate him.
Yeah, I did.
Did you see that? And don't get me wrong, it must be quite frustrating if you are a driver who's been with that team for ages.
You'd be vexed. You're there for 3 years. You're working hard all season. Little Nick de Vries comes in and gets points.
Yeah. And it's not, but like when Albon got, I remember Latifi, we could have got points, but obviously he's struggling with the car. No, it's just you're not good enough. And
that is the truth. Like, he is just not good enough. So, brilliant decision by Williams.
It's a big decision.
Decisive. You have to make these big decisions if you want to take the team forward.
Yep.
So I congratulate them. Who is going to take that seat?
Well, this is the next question. On my actual notes here, Luke, it says, who will replace Latifi? So, good question. So the contenders are Nick de Vries, Logan Sargent.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Antonio Giovinazzi.
That to me doesn't make a great deal of sense.
And Mick Schumacher. So let's just break these down. So Nick de Vries, he's being heavily linked with AlphaTauri at the moment because Gasly is being heavily linked with Alpine.
Mm-hmm.
I think for Nick de Vries, that'd be a better move to go to AlphaTauri. However, that is a Red Bull team. Nick de Vries is obviously a Mercedes.
Yeah, is Toto going to let that happen?
I don't know, but it's a tough one, isn't it? Although I think AlphaTauri would be better for him,
Of course.
I think, like we've touched on before, Nick de Vries going to Williams would make more sense because he would be given more freedom and more time. Like what we said about Albon. When Albon went into Red Bull, he had all this pressure. He's now gone to Williams. He's driving with freedom. He can express himself. He can actually go out there and he can take those risks and he can really go at it. Whereas in Red Bull, he felt like he always held it back a bit, if that makes sense. We've had this conversation before.
Yeah, well, there is that, I think it's a well-known thing. There's that sort of Red Bull pressure.
Yeah.
Particularly because they always seem to have that, like, star child. I know they haven't been, in racing forever or whatnot, but, you said it with Seb, and then Seb sort of got outshone by Danny Rick in the 2014 season.
Yep.
And then Max comes along. All of a sudden, he's the new star child, and it's hard to live up to these people, and it drives drivers into the ground. I mean, look what it did to Danny Rick.
Yeah.
Seb obviously stepped away and stepped up. He went to a competitive Ferrari team. But Kvyat couldn't manage it. Gasly couldn't manage it. Albon couldn't manage it.
Ricciardo.
Yeah, Ricciardo obviously dipped out. So
regardless of what you say, Ricciardo left. He couldn't.
He
couldn't handle the pressure.
No, absolutely not. That's of course why he left. I mean, look, no one takes a step back from Red Bull to go to Renault.
Yeah.
It's not 2006.
No, I agree.
That is just get me away from this team. Like, I don't even think it was an ego thing necessarily. But I think, yeah, he maybe knew that he couldn't live up to Max. Yeah. He could see the potential, and he was like, no chance.
I want to go to a team where I'll be a number one again.
Yeah.
And that's why he went to Renault. But for me, I think Nick de Vries would be better in a Williams because I feel like he can go there and he can just, like what he showed in Monza, he can go out there and, like they said to him, no pressure. And he put in an amazing performance.
That's the thing. In a Williams, he could finish P10 3 times a season. And that would be an amazing season for them. If things stay the same as they are this season or similar. In AlphaTauri, there is going to be pressure there because they are a midfield team. They, AlphaTauri have won races. Toro Rosso have won races. I know Williams have, but recently, no chance. So, yeah, there's more potential for him as a driver at AlphaTauri. In my opinion, in that current car,
you will get more points and you will get better finishes.
And I think it's easier to display your talents in a better car, for obvious reasons. But I do think, for maybe career progression. But again, he's not a young person.
No.
We always still
27 years
act
old.
like he's this.
He's up and coming.
This hot youth property, but he's older than me. Like,
and me.
Well.
Yeah, let's move on.
So yeah, I don't really know. I think for the teams, either team getting him that solid signing.
Yeah, I agree. Logan Sargent, obviously the American, currently in F2. He's P3, I think, in F2 at the moment. Being heavily linked. He's obviously he's on the Williams books. I mean, he needs to actually require his super license. So he needs to finish in the top 5 in F2 to get his super license.
Because this is also the issue with, and I literally can't remember his name. Is it like Herter or something?
Yeah.
That's his issue, is it not?
Yeah,
with super license.
Super license. The issue is with Sargent is only his first year in F2. That's quite a jump, isn't it, really? 1 season in F2 and then you're into F1.
Yeah, but it's not uncommon.
No. I mean, Josh Capito is convinced he can be ready to step up into F1 next year if required. And provided he stays in the top 5 in the F2 standings to secure enough super license points, though he could benefit from a second campaign in F2 to strengthen his skill set before making that move. I think, you do look at some drivers, they come through very quick. Some people handle it, some people don't.
The only thing is, right, is a driver that is finishing 3rd in F2 ready for F1 only after 1 season? Because I was looking just the other day. I don't know how many seasons Lewis Hamilton did in F2, but it was 2006 where he more or less won every single race in F2. And then so that's what, right, you're looking at someone that is dominating in the sport. So you think, well, clearly, they're a big fish in a small pond. Let's get them up to the big leagues. Someone that's finishing 3rd, to me, I'm not sure. It is a risk that you can take and be like, well, we'll give them some experience in an F1 car and it could pay off. Because I'm pretty sure the same season, 2006, Seb finished 3rd in F2.
Yeah.
And then he came up and, within a few seasons, he was winning championships. Mm-hmm. So it can pay off. I'm just thinking, for a team like Williams, who are in desperate need of people that are going to get them points here and there, Alex Albon is, a semi-experienced F1 driver now.
Yeah.
They got him in. He's brought points. Nick De Vries, okay, not necessarily experienced in F1, but he's 27. He's got a lot of
racing. He's been around the paddock a lot.
Yeah, he's got a lot of racing experience. Could that be more beneficial to them right now?
Sargent, for me, I think needs another year. But sometimes being chucked in, sometimes it works.
And that's the thing.
Some people flourish.
Sometimes the gamble does pay off. Yeah. They could bring him in and he could be electric. He could absolutely relish the opportunity. And I love to see it. If they did take that gamble, I would respect it a lot.
Another name, Antonio Giovinazzi. Obviously, he's currently driving in Formula E at the moment. He's been heavily linked with Haas, but he's also on Williams' radar. What do you think? Do you think, obviously, he knows F1. He's been around F1 for a while. He drove for Alfa Romeo last year and the year before that. Would you like to see him back in the sport?
I liked him as a character. Can I add? I think he always came across as like a really pleasant guy.
62 races. How many points do you think he got?
I mean, it's got to be in the teens.
21.
I was close. I'm not sure. Has he spent the year in IndyCar?
Formula E.
Formula E. Okay.
Do you listen to nothing I say?
No, I try not to. I knew he was somewhere. I just wasn't exactly sure where. I don't know. I really don't know. I think the Haas this season is better than the Alfa was last season.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a stinker.
Yeah.
That car. So maybe it could benefit him. I just don't think that would be the right choice for Haas.
I think if you're going, for me, Nick De Vries is the person. However,
I mean, they do have Mick Schumacher.
Are you reading my notes? Because next to it being linked is Mick Schumacher. Because obviously Haas, haven't tied him up for a third season yet. He's currently out of contract at the end of the year. Having an iconic name like the Schumacher name, would that benefit Williams? Would that be
So
good
we
for
talking
Williams?
about Williams? I thought Giovinazzi was linked to Haas.
No, he is linked to Haas, but we're talking about Williams at the moment.
Well, but I think Haas should just keep Schumacher.
Yeah. No, I'm with you on this. I don't know why they haven't tied him up to another contract.
Yeah, because that.
No, Giovinazzi. Okay, let me. Oh my God, you would have thought Luke being away for a couple of weeks, he would have actually switched on.
No, but all I'm thinking, right, is you said Giovinazzi linked to Haas. I'm thinking, well, why would you get rid of Mick Schumacher for Giovinazzi?
No, I agree with you. But yes, Haas are believed to be interested in recruiting the Italian. However, Williams is also on his wish list. That's what I said earlier.
Williams is on his wish list.
Giovinazzi is on Williams' wish list.
Okay.
Wish list. Yeah.
Wish list. Who are they sending that to?
Santa Claus. Yeah. I agree with you. If you had a choice between Giovinazzi and Schumacher for Haas, I would stick with Mick.
100. I think any other decision is bizarre.
Yeah. But obviously, they haven't tied Mick up to a new contract. So it's interesting. I don't understand why.
Is something going on behind the scenes?
Yeah.
Like, is he demanding more money?
But also, you got to think, it's a Ferrari engine, isn't it? Ferrari have cut ties with Mick as on the program.
The academy,
Whatever. Not saying that's necessarily linked, but there seems to be something because.
Yeah, I feel like something isn't adding up at
Gunter's
this.
not. Normally he's quite outspoken, but he's very quiet on this matter at the moment.
Yeah, I'm a bit confused because something is not adding up at this situation. There has to be interested in Giovinazzi over Mick. I don't know. Fair enough, Mick had a terrible first season, but he was in a terrible car and he was substantially better than his teammate, Nikita Mazepin.
Do you know why I think they haven't tied him up to a new contract?
Why?
I think Haas want Danny Rick.
Really? Now, I think, yeah, that would be a good sign of Haas. If they snapped Danny Rick up, I think that would be good.
Danny Rick, it's been a few weeks now since McLaren.
They can't afford him, though. You know that.
Well, no, but okay. But Danny Rick, if he wants to stay in F1, he's not gonna have loads of choices. He's just had a massive payoff by McLaren.
Hasn't he got like 20 something mil?
Yeah, I think he'll be okay. Even if he went to drive for Haas next year for free,
he's essentially getting his McLaren wage anyway.
We'll give you a dairy milk and a boost.
He would probably take that.
Yeah, I'll be happy. So I think money wise, I think he'll be all right. I don't know.
But again, he might have that thing of, well, my self-worth or my value is not
his value.
2 million a year.
His value has plummeted from going to McLaren.
Oh no, it has. He's like the Bitcoin of the stock world. Like it's not good.
No, I agree. Okay, so just finishing off this. Latifi's replacement. Who would you pick? Who's your ideal out of all those? By the way, these are the names that are linked to. When you look on social media, this is the names that are linked.
It's what they call silly season.
Silly season. Who would be your preference for the Williams seat?
Oh, I mean, look, if I was any of those drivers, any of those team principals,
yeah,
right now, I would be looking at Nick de Vries.
Yeah.
If I was AlphaTauri, that geezer, the Williams geezer.
Capito.
I mean, Haas, that they could look at him. Anyone looking to fill a seat, I think, should be looking to Nick de Vries.
I think Nick de Vries would be the perfect person to go into that Williams seat. Him and Albon, I think it would be brilliant.
Unless, obviously, Alpine, they're looking at Gasly, aren't they? That's why this AlphaTauri seat is open.
It's weird that it's gone quiet, though. It's weird. There's no, I was expecting it to be kind of sorted now, but it's still, nothing's been fully decided.
Yeah, I know. There's a lot. There's a lot open at the moment.
So Alpine still have their seat. Who's going to start? Gasly is linked to it.
I mean, technically, Nick de Vries could end up at Alpine.
Well, yeah.
For whatever reason.
For any reason, yeah. I can't see it happening, but yeah, he could be.
I know Drogovic has just signed with Aston Martin, but not as...
Drogovic?
Drogovic.
Oh, I was going to say what?
He wouldn't
has he given up tennis?
He wouldn't be very good. I'm surprised another team didn't try and get him in a seat. He's had an unbelievable season in F2.
Can we also say, though, Alfa Romeo haven't tied down Joel?
Yeah, that is... Again, I would be surprised if... I think, as rookie seasons go, in a car that is, like I said earlier, subpar, I think he's done okay. I think he's done enough to deserve another season.
Yeah.
I think, he's... Yuki Tsunoda got another season. Last season. And he's got another season this season.
Yeah.
They've just announced that, haven't they, recently? And that he was the rookie driver to compare to. But I think it makes sense to keep him on, Mick got another chance. He had a terrible car, had a shocking season, but, they saw the potential. I don't see why, Zhou has not... Or Zhou hasn't performed any less than Mick or...
No, but it's weird that they haven't announced it yet.
It is weird. I swear they keep tweeting something big is coming.
Yeah.
They keep... So maybe tomorrow it'll be announced.
Danny Rick, yeah. It will be announced before this podcast goes out, for sure.
See, and here's the thing, right? Do you risk getting rid of a young driver like Zhou, who I think has performed, like I say, pretty all right for his rookie season, for a currently failing driver like Danny Rick, who we know has formerly been at the top level? Is that a risk you'd take?
Yeah, well, I think for Alfa Romeo it'd be stupid to have two experienced drivers in their team, Bottas and Ricciardo. Do you know what I mean? I think that'd just be stupid. I think you need that younger generation coming through.
But we've seen it work before. I mean, Ferrari a few seasons ago, they had Seb and Kimi.
Yeah. But
we had Lewis and Bottas.
They're world champions.
Yeah, no, I know.
Kimi and Vettel, that's overall 5 world champions between them. You've got Bottas, who was a perfect number 2, who's never led a team as such, gone to Alfa Romeo. Then you've got Danny Rick, who
ran away from a team.
ran away from a team and then done nothing since.
Yeah.
Oh, no. I tell a lie. He won in Monza.
He got gifted the win in Monza.
Yeah.
That was Lando's win. Don't, if you're a Danny Rick fan, be honest with yourself. That was Lando's win.
It was, definitely. I don't know. So just touching off, so you think De Vries to Williams makes sense? I would agree with you on that one. Let us know. Comment down below. What do you think? Who should Williams go for next?
A big thing is that I can't see Toto being they seem to have such a good relationship.
Yeah, go to Red Bull.
You can't go to Red Bull if you're that closely tied with Mercedes. But then I guess Albon is now at Williams, who is Mercedes. He wears Red Bull on his helmet.
Yeah, true.
There's the F1's a weird thing, so I would not be surprised if we did see him at AlphaTauri.
It's just, as you say, silly season. Right, let's get on to something which is quite interesting because I got sent this a couple of days ago. So the driver's salary cost per point so far in 2022.
Should we have another go?
So the way they've done this is price per points. So this is looking at the driver and how much their salary has cost per the points. So who do you think is... Obviously, Nicholas Latifi hasn't scored any points, so his salary is... He's basically getting a full salary and he's got nothing for it, basically.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing that's a bit annoying. Do you know what I mean? If I got a job at Tesco and I wasn't stacking shelves, I'd get sacked.
Lance Stroll is second in this list.
Surely let me guess.
Okay.
Lance Stroll is second, I reckon.
Okay, good. So he's got about 3.25 million per point.
See, and this is the thing I was thinking. He's obviously on a stupid wage because Daddy's sorting him out. What does that make his wage, roughly?
I have no idea.
But how many points has he got?
Just keep talking, Luke.
But how many points has he got?
Yeah, I can't remember how many points he's got.
Is it not like right there?
It's not. It doesn't say on there.
Oh, yeah. Pull up the driver standings because that will also make it interesting.
So Lance Stroll has 5 points. So if you think it's 3 points...
So he's on like 17 mil a year.
Yeah. So
for a driver that has not achieved anything, you know, he's not even come close to a world championship. That is absurd, you know, and it makes you think, like, no wonder the team is failing. Do you know what I mean? That money could be invested in research and development, and that's just
it's mad.
Scene.
Who do you think is third?
Bottas.
No, surprisingly not. It is Sebastian Vettel.
Oh yeah.
So
actually,
$1 million US dollars per point.
How many points has he got?
20 points.
So he costs even more than Stroll.
Understandably, he costs more than Stroll.
Seb can demand a big contract, but after last season, well, I guess he had like a multiple year deal, but yeah, no, that
it's mad, isn't it? It's just mental.
They've had a terrible season.
Who do you think is the best value for price per points?
See, now I was going to say Max, but I don't think it will be, purely because he is costing like 50 million a year.
Yeah.
Although I do think he's worth every penny, might I add. George Russell.
It is Russell.
Is it?
So his works out at like, what is it, 50,000 US dollars per point.
Because is he on like 4 mil a year or something?
Yeah, and he's got 203 points.
Yeah. See, and that's what you want.
Yuki Tsunoda is third best.
Really?
Yeah, so Yuki Tsunoda has 11 points, and he's on about £70,000 US dollars.
So number 2, let me guess. Number 2 is Sergio Perez.
It is 210 points, and he's about 60,000. Yeah.
So then I'm guessing like
60,000 US dollars per point.
Lewis and Max are probably like midfield.
Max is actually about midfield. Lewis is almost about 400,000 per point.
400,000.
So considering he's on 168 points.
That's about 40 mil.
Yeah.
Is it?
Hang
How
on.
much for?
Where's the calculator on here? Christ, how do you find a calculator on here?
You can get a calculator on your phone, on your PC.
Oh, right.
Whatever it is, Mac.
Yeah.
Do you want me to get a calculator?
Yeah, get a calculator. So 400,000 times 168.
Is this in dollars?
US dollars, yeah.
67.2 million.
Okay, so if you...
A year. That's just a yearly wage, because obviously he
67 million dollars in rupees.
Well, in pounds, it's going to be roughly the same, because the exchange rate is so like...
Oh, yeah, it's actually gone down. Yes, 62 million.
It's so that's an insane amount of money.
That is mad.
Mind you,
like that.
I would say, you know, because there's been talks of a cost cap or a wage cap.
Yeah. Which drivers aren't exactly
I think these drivers are worth it, right? They've put their lives or any sort of life on hold to focus on this career, right? They put their lives at risk every time they step out on the track. People like Lewis, particularly Lewis, because he's so sellable and so commercial.
Yeah.
The amount of money he brings into the team, into the sport, you can demand big money. You know, I think if any sport, and I know like the wages are like grotesque across elite sport, you know, football, NFL, baseball, F1. But at the end of the day, that's the way it is. And, you know, the complaint about it isn't going to get you that money. So
no.
That is what it is. There's a lot of money in the sport. They get it. If that is the way it is, I personally think they're entitled to that big money. Max is on a huge amount of money.
Well,
because he's, why wouldn't they invest in him?
Well, this is an interesting thing because obviously Ralf Schumacher has come out this week and discussed how much it costs to get into F1. So just following on from what people get earned and what people earn and that. So Ralf Schumacher has stated it will cost a young driver somewhere between 13 and 15 million euros just to get into F1. Which is mad.
It's not possible.
Obviously, he goes on to say you will need around 30,000 euros to compete in karting alone, which is for 6 to 8 year olds. So that's 30 grand just for 6 to 8 year olds.
Yeah, and
which is mad.
So obviously this is the parents paying for it.
Yeah.
I just think it is mental. You've got to have right. Think about it. You've got to have big salaries, otherwise it's not worth the investment. If it costs you 15 mil to get in, they cap the salary at $1 million a year. You'd have to be in the sport for 15 years, which not many people are, just to break even.
So how much do you think he says it cost a year just to compete in go-karting? So if you think 6 to 8 year olds around 30k, how much do you think, when you get past that, how much it costs you in karting?
No, I feel like it's going to go to 6 figures.
$250,000
a year
just to compete in go-karting. That's what he's saying here. I don't know if this is actually true, but in an interview,
I guess he's got no real reason to exaggerate or.
And I think obviously he's been around it for years, but he said people like Lando Norris, Sergio Perez are sons of millionaires, Lance Stroll, Latifi, same but of billionaires. Charles Leclerc, Max Verstappen, Sainz, Mick Schumacher, Kevin Magnussen all have parents who competed in motorsport as well. So all these people have that foundation.
That's why you got to love the likes of Lewis, Seb.
But that's why he says
George
here,
Russell's got to come from a rich family. He looks like a little rich boy.
He says some drivers such as Vettel, Russell, Tsunoda rely on sponsorships.
Oh, so Russell doesn't?
Yeah, no, he didn't. You just stereotyped him.
I stereotyped him so hard. I'm sorry. I look like a little rich white boy, so I get stereotyped all the time. I know how it feels.
And you pay for that haircut. So it's interesting. Hamilton, his father worked 3 jobs to keep his son's dream alive. Danny Rick's parents do not have the same level of wealth as some of previous names. And that's the interesting thing, isn't it? When you look at the likes of people like Lewis Hamilton and the sacrifices his parents had to make to get him to where he is today, it's phenomenal, isn't it? And don't get me wrong, I don't take this away from anywhere else. People like, if you're brought in to sport with money, people like Lando Norris, that's not through your choice.
At the end of the day, it's luck of the draw. If you got money, you got money. The quality. We all want money. I don't think we should berate people for having money. But what I really don't like the idea of is people that don't have money not being able to get into the sport. Yeah. All I'm going to say is that if I saw Vettel was saying, I think it was this week, might have been last week, he was saying if I had to get into F1 now or motorsport, like I was a kid and started again, he said I wouldn't be able to do it. My parents wouldn't be able to afford it.
No, cost of living is just ridiculous now. And
right. So let's assume Lewis Hamilton is in the same boat here. His dad can't work 4 jobs. I mean, 3 is enough. All of a sudden, right, you've just lost 11 world championships. Now, I'm sure there are perhaps more champions throughout the year, or at least quality drivers that we would deny the opportunity to because it's just everything is getting too expensive. And I appreciate things cost money. I'm not saying that, but like you've got to make it more accessible to people because you're going to deny the potentially the world's greatest ever Formula One driver the chance of racing because they can't afford it. They don't have access to the sport. There might be a 6-year-old sitting there right now who is a future 10-time world champion because his parents don't have money. We're never going to see it. But
I suppose that's the same with any sports. That's why I like watching some of the. So I'm a big NFL fan as well. I like NFL, and sometimes I watch some of those documentaries how people struggle to get to where they are. Some of their parents had to work 4 or 5 different jobs to get their sons into college, and then they go from there and make their way into the NFL. But I suppose it's the same with any sport, that you've got people out there who will miss out on these opportunities. There's a Adam Sandler film where he is a basketball coach, and he went to Europe, and he decided to go around and see people. It's based on a true story. I know I'm going off topic here, sorry, but he went and he watched people just playing on a local basketball court, and he found someone who was like, wow, he's got talent. He took him back to America, and that guy is now in the NBA.
Yeah,
but that's through luck. This guy who was playing on the courts there, he had no chance elsewhere to get into that sport.
But I mean, I appreciate that all sports and, all walks of life require sacrifice and a bit of luck. But I feel like, particularly in motorsport, it is so hard for less fortunate people to get into the sport, to even have the opportunity of luck and sacrifice.
Shall I tell you a story? Shall I tell you a funny story? So where my parents live now, around the corner, there's a garage, this garden, and there's this old go-kart in it. And when you were younger, I was about 14, 15 at the time, I was like, I could be an F1 driver here. When you're watching like Mick Hakkinen and all of that stuff going around, I'm like...
To put into context, that's how old Matt is.
Yeah, shut up.
He's 15 and Mick Hakkinen was driving.
It wasn't Mick. I don't think Mick Hakkinen, but it's probably Damon Hillside. No,
that's much better. He's much younger.
Sterling Moss. And I remember looking at the go kart, and I don't know if you get so like, I'm like, I could get that go kart, and I could probably just do it up a bit. And now looking at it, you look at the prices, like an engine for a go-kart would cost like however much. And I'm thinking, what was I thinking back then?
Go to the track and they're like, yeah, £60 for the day. It's like, you take £4?
But you do, don't you? There's a lot of people out there who are going to miss that opportunity because they don't have that luck, or they don't, suppose.
And this is why, I mean, I look at football as a sport, and I think...
It is a sport, yeah.
It is a sport. But as a sport, I think they've got it pretty good, right? And I know there's a lot less costs in the sport naturally. You don't have to buy a go-kart, pay for fuel, travel. Well, you do have to travel, but you know what I mean? You're not traveling with a go-kart. It's just you hop on a train, a bus, whatever. But there's so much like grassroots stuff that like it's almost impossible to
not get noticed.
to not get an opportunity in football because there is the opportunity there, and I know there is a cost in football, but nothing compared to Formula One motorsport. But I feel like these, and I don't really know what the solution is. I also don't know like what organisations like Formula One do to try and prop it up. But surely there must be a way that they can invest at a ground level to help people that
with lower incomes.
Yeah, there has to be something they can do.
It's obviously very difficult because there's only 20 places on a grid. So
yeah, but you still got Formula 2, Formula 3. They still got all these different things, and at the end of the day, it's in their best interest to get the best drivers in the grid. Although that's the thing, maybe it's not. Maybe it's in their best interest to get the people with the most amount of money that are going to get sponsors in the sport,
who are adequate drivers.
And maybe that's why we'll never see it. But
no, I agree.
It's a shame.
Let us know what your thoughts are on that. I feel like we've actually had like good, solid. We've gone in depth with conversations.
Yeah, let's talk about something stupid now.
Singapore.
Okay,
that's not stupid though.
It's stupidly hard to drive on F1 game. If you've ever tried it, Singapore is a nasty.
What race
track.
are you doing on Wednesday? The one you've invited me to?
Don't know. We'll probably decide on the day.
Fine. Can we do Monza? Something easy for me.
I knew you'd say Monza. I don't mind.
Or Canada. I'm a beast on Canada.
I fucking hate driving Canada.
I like Canada. I'm all right at Canada. I hate Silverstone on F1 game.
I have nailed that. I watched a Jarno Opmeer video.
Did you?
And I was just watching everything that he was doing.
He's not doing too great this year.
He's not.
Blakely is doing
He
all
is
right. He's
in-
doing
in the
decent in the
McLaren.
McLaren. Yeah, he's doing decent. Anyway, Singapore. So, would you like to know the schedule?
Yes.
So-
I am desperate to know this. I just want to say, weekends are just not the same about F1, which is why I cannot wait. And I know all the mechanics and the drivers probably can wait, but I cannot wait for 24 races next year.
I'm buzzing. I'm buzzing. I'm buzzing for next week. FP1 this Friday is 11 till 12. FP2 is 2 till 3. We then look at Saturday, October the 1st, which is FP3, which is 11 till 12. Qualifying is 2 till 3, and the race is 1 till 3. So this is a chance, Luke, where you can get your mortgage paid for. So how many DRS zones are there?
2.
3.
3?
When was the first Grand Prix held?
Now, this is something I'm going to struggle with. I'm going to say 2003.
2008.
Oh, later.
2008. How a number of laps? This is where you can get your mortgage paid for if you get this right.
65.
61.
No.
Yeah, you're close. You're close. And the lap record, and who is the person who holds that record? Honestly, and I mean this, okay? If you get this right, both of them, the lap time and the person, I will give you everything in my bank right now. I'm that confident. Actually, so on top of that, I will go and get a giant cock on my back. That's how confident I am.
You won't have one in your trousers. Oh my god, yeah, but now everyone's going to think that it's buffering because I'm going to go silent for like 2 minutes. It's not buffering. I'm just thinking. Okay, all right. I'm gonna think out loud.
Okay.
Can I just ask a question?
Of course you can.
Lap record.
Yeah.
Does that have to be racing? Is it in the race? Like a quali lap doesn't count.
No, I think it has to be the race.
Okay, I'm gonna go in the 140s.
Okay.
So I'm in the 140s. I'm gonna say a so I'm trying to think of the laps as well.
Yeah.
Because there's 61. A 144.6. I'm saying. Okay.
Okay.
A 144.6.
Yeah.
And it goes to Jenson Button in the Brawn.
You've looked at this.
No, don't do me like that.
It's 141.905, and it is K-Mag in 2018 who holds the lap record.
Oh my god! Do you know
As you can see.
Do you know what I actually did know? I know that he got the fastest lap that race. So I did know that.
Yeah.
I had no idea that was the lap record.
Who was the last winner there? Because obviously we raced there in 2019.
Oh, I know this. Seb. I'm pretty sure it's his first win.
It was
as well
Seb.
that season.
It was Seb. Charles finished in second. Look at the
Yeah, because Charles got undercut by him.
Yeah. Look at some of these names, okay? Albon in Red Bull Racing. You got Nico Hulkenberg in the Renault.
Yeah.
Giovinazzi in Alfa Romeo. Grosjean in Haas. Kvyat, Toro Rosso. Kubica in the Williams.
Kubica.
George Russell was in the Williams as well. Fucking mental. I love it.
Yeah, and that was because Danny Rick started. Did he start P20 in that race? And then he got a puncture.
He did, yeah.
He collided with someone. What I will say is, I feel this race we are going to see a number of incidents where people are losing parts or people are getting punctures.
Yeah.
Quite a common occurrence at a street track, but I'm not going to lie, I actually quite like Singapore.
I like to, yeah. I think it's all right.
We've slagged street tracks off a number of times on here. There are a handful which are actually quite decent.
I wouldn't say we slag them off.
I mean, in fairness, realistically, there's only a few bad ones. Monaco. I actually think Singapore is not a bad track.
No, I
I
think
think
it's all right.
it provides quite an eventful race.
Yeah. I'm just trying to find out because there was a right. Okay, Verstappen. Sorry, I know you're talking about. Yeah, I agree.
Max has never won at Singapore.
No, I like Singapore. Do you remember that crash? Who was that crash with? Was it Seb? Was it a few years ago? He had that crash and he went into the back of someone. There was that big crash down the straight,
Was
wasn't
that
it?
not 2018?
18? Yeah.
It was Raikkonen. It was Raikkonen, Verstappen, and Vettel off the line, wasn't it?
It was a big crash, wasn't it?
Yeah, and then Seb carried on going, but his car was
And
smoking.
Hamilton just went off. I liked it.
Yeah.
Obviously, this weekend, in theory, Max Verstappen could be crowned a 2-time world champion. So,
This is very hard for him to achieve.
would you like to know how he needs to achieve it?
Yes.
So, if Max wins the race with the fastest lap, 26 points, and Leclerc finishes 8th with only 4 points,
Do you see what I mean?
or lower, and Perez finishes 4th with 12 points or lower. Another one is if Max wins the race without a fastest lap on 25 points, and Leclerc finishes 9th or lower, Perez finishes 4th or lower without a fastest lap, or 5th with a fastest lap, 11 points, Max Verstappen will be crowned champion. So it's quite a lot to ask, but the way I look at it is it's definitely doable. Leclerc just has a shocker. Ferrari have an awful strategy.
Yeah, not even Leclerc. Leclerc will do everything right, and
But
Ferrari will fuck him somehow.
Have you seen the weather for this weekend?
Rain. Both days.
Yeah. So what will happen is it will rain. Ferrari will bring him in for softs.
Yeah, he'll go out on fresh slick.
Leclerc will just have a spin. And then Perez will be second. But on the last lap, he will have a engine failure,
Yeah.
in quotes, and then drop back to...
And as he's dropping back, he'll take out Lewis Hamilton for good measure. But I think I don't believe anyone else but Max is going to win this race.
No.
I was speaking to a friend earlier. He was like, I don't know, Lewis is always really good. I was like, mate, don't be deluded.
No.
Like, that is delusion.
So who's your
Max Verstappen is going to win this race.
Who's your top 3 for the Singapore Grand Prix?
Max. I worry about putting Ferrari now, right? Because they actually always manage to fuck it up.
Yeah.
I'll get like messages from like three different boys saying like, oh, you know, classic Ferrari, why do they fuck it every week? Like just mates that I speak to about F1 that like I wouldn't have spoken to, they just message every Sunday. It's like Ferrari again. Because they're so consistently inconsistent. It's amazing. So I'm just not sure if I can put any faith in them.
So P3.
I'm going to say Lewis.
P2.
Charles.
P1.
Max.
Okay, so I'm going to go for, in P3, Carlos Sainz.
Okay, that I was also toying with him in P3 over Lewis.
P2, I'm going to go for Perez.
Okay.
P1, I'm going for Max.
Oh, both balls.
I think Leclerc will be like P4, P5. Miss Lewis or George will be around there. But I think for Red Bull, they're just showing such strength. I think, especially after this like couple of weeks off, I think Perez needs to have a good race this weekend.
Yeah, no, he massively does. But there are also rumours floating around that they don't have the same car. They're like,
Well,
it's
evidently,
not, yeah.
One's a rocket ship and the other's like...
Have you seen like all the memes of like it would be like gameplay from F1 where someone's modded it and their car will be like twice as quick as everyone else, and it's like Max Verstappen this year as they're just like flying through the pack. That car is so good, and don't get me wrong, you need a good driver to drive a good car. We can't sit here as Mercedes fans and be like, well, he's only doing it because he's in the quickest car.
No, he's a good driver.
Lewis Hamilton has had that for the last however many years, but what I will say is this car is particularly quicker than the others.
Yeah.
But a quick car needs a quick driver, and
Yeah.
Max
No,
is that man.
and that's exactly what Max and Lewis have shown over the years. Other news, the Williams Formula 1 team have provisionally decided to give Nick de Vries a second F1 drive in Singapore. This is provisionally because Alex Albon, as you know, in Monza, he was there, he had to have his appendix removed. He apparently did go to intensive care afterwards because he had breathing difficulties.
Yeah, do you understand what that was? Because you're medical. He had like respiratory failure.
Yeah, I mean, he may have just suffered after the anaesthetic, so he may just had to go there for
You calling him a pussy?
No, not in the slightest. Not in the slightest. Obviously, it's 10 days ago, so obviously we don't know if Albon is going to be back. It's unlikely, from what I'm hearing, he's going to be back for this weekend. They think it might be too soon.
It's unlikely, is it?
Yeah, they think it's too unlikely that Albon will be back this weekend.
Christ. I thought this is what he was working for, but that's...
Well, he's working towards it, but they're still unsure, especially after...
I'd quite like to see de Vries.
Yep. The team, Albon and de Vries, have been silent over whether they'll be racing, but...
You know what would benefit them? They should just let de Vries replace Latifi.
Yeah.
And then just race with one car, because, then they save a bit of money. They'll get the same amount of points.
Some of the engineers can have a weekend off.
Exactly.
Cargo cost.
Mate, all I'm saying is that makes more sense. Don't replace Albon. It doesn't matter. Replace Latifi.
Yeah. No, I like it. So at this moment in time, we don't know if Albon is going to be back. Hopefully he is, because I would like to see Albon back. Yeah. But if not, Nick de Vries is being linked to another drive for Williams this weekend. I'm not too displeased with that either.
No,
I like to see him.
I'd like to see. Was it just pure luck?
Yeah.
I think the problem is he must be thinking like, what if I completely fuck this weekend up and then no one wants me?
No, I don't. No, honestly, don't. No.
If I was him, I'd be like, I'm on holiday. I can't, lads.
Get Mazepin back for this weekend. Yeah, absolutely fine. Absolutely fine.
He'll do a solid for you.
Right. So, guys, let us know what are your thoughts and what are your predictions for this weekend's Grand Prix. From what I'm hearing, Mercedes are basically kind of focusing on the 2023 car. They're kind of putting everything into that now.
But what I did also hear about that, just while we're touching on Mercedes, they're looking to continue developing the same concept.
Oh, good. So we're not going to go. We're not going to go anywhere. Freaking out.
So that it's my understanding, which is pretty good. That they're looking to still pursue this sort of zero pod, no pod, whatever you call it,
podless
idea.
Brilliant.
Of some variation.
Great. So Mercedes fans, look forward to 2023.
Yeah, because obviously the Red Bull is only going to get better.
Yeah. Oh God, can he get any better than what it is?
If it gets any better, it'll actually start flying around the track. If Ferrari managed to sack some people and then rehire some good people,
they'll be back in the mix.
They're going to be competitive, because let's not forget how good their car was at the start of the season.
Oh yeah.
It was better than the Red Bull.
No, I agree. Shall we finish off on fan questions? We haven't. Do you know what's funny? We haven't done this in the last 2 episodes, and we've had a bit of stick from that as well.
Have we?
Yeah.
Why? What are people saying?
Well, the fact that why are you asking me to have questions if you don't answer them?
Yeah, but
that's a valid point.
I swear we haven't posted for the last...
No, last time we didn't, but the time before we did, and we forgot to ask them.
Wow.
Is it my time?
Yeah, I'm just putting up the story. Every week, once a week, we put on the story around Sunday, Monday. Send in your questions for us and we'll answer them on the pod. Not if they're shit, we won't, but if it's a good question, we will. So, make sure you think before you type.
But to be fair, 99% of the time, your questions are decent.
Yeah, no, on a real, they are good. And, even if you just want to send a message to say you really like my new haircut, that would be appreciated.
Right, so... Kerdate, if you could choose one team to work for, which would it be and why? Good, solid question. I like that.
Good, solid question. Well, all right, this is actually a tricky one, right? And allow me to finish before you go at me. So obviously I'd love to work for Mercedes because I support them. It'd be like, as a football fan working for Liverpool in my case, or for you work for Brighton. I have heard that working for Red Bull is insane.
Yeah.
Like, the culture is unbelievable. And I've been fortunate enough to actually... I technically wasn't doing the work, Theo was, but we went on a work trip with Red Bull, and like, they do seem to just have a lot of fun because their whole ethos is like, yeah, we're fucking mental.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's a lot of professionalism as well, but from what I've heard, they sound like a really, really cool team to work for. And at the top of their game. And, if you're in a profession, you want to work for the best. So despite my loyalties, I would happily work for Red Bull, but I would also love the opportunity at Mercedes. Not that I've got no experience. I'm not like selling myself. They're not going to hire me up. But if I was experienced, that's where I'd want to be. Yeah,
no, I think Red Bull would be quite decent. I obviously, like you, I think Mercedes would be decent. Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question.
I also think it could be quite interesting being at one of the smaller teams.
I was going to say Williams, I think, would be quite interesting because some of the behind the scenes from Williams.
You know what it's like? It's like starting a career mode with like Barnsley.
Yeah.
And trying to work up. I mean, I know you're just going in as a mechanic, but like soon enough they'd promote me to CEO. And then I'd be able to elevate them to the top.
Oh, I want to get F1 manager. That looks decent.
It looks insane. It looks way too complicated for me, but you should get it because it looks cool. Do any of you play it? If you're listening, or
let us know.
Yeah, let us know and let me know. Is it too complicated? Because I remember Football Manager. I used to love that game on my PSP. I got it on my computer once. It was so fucking complicated. I could give one of my players food poisoning if I wanted to not play him that week. I don't need that depth. Just no. So if it's like simple, but I want a bit of depth.
I think.
I don't want to be able to choose what cereal Charles Leclerc has for breakfast. Basically.
Yeah. I want it. I will get it, and I'll let you know how it goes. It does look decent.
Yeah, it really does.
Nathan Moore 24. Will Lando actually, in capital letters, get a Red Bull or Mercedes move?
Well, I think it does potentially make sense in the future, but that's permitted that McLaren stay this sort of like top end midfield team.
Yeah.
If they improve, because let's not forget McLaren are a championship winning team.
Years ago, yeah.
Yeah, years ago, but you look at Renault as well. Alpine, as they call them now, their posh brand. They're at that top end of the midfield, and you think, well, there still is the potential to step up.
Yeah.
It's not always just going to be. We see this rotation through Formula One happen constantly, and it. I know it like maybe takes time. You've always got teams that. Ferrari, they dominated those early 2000s.
Yeah.
And then they dropped out. And, they haven't... I know they won, 2009 with Alonso. But then since then, they haven't won anything.
No.
Seb got a little bit close. So it's all entirely possible that McLaren do become a title contending team again.
See, I don't think, my personal opinion, I don't think in 2 years' time... Lando will be with McLaren. I think he'll be with Red Bull. I think when Sergio Perez leaves, he will be with Red Bull. I really
Are
believe
they going to put him up against Max though?
I don't know. I can see him going to Red Bull. I can't see him going to Mercedes. I can't see that happening.
But why? There's the McLaren.
Yeah,
Mercedes link.
I just can't see it.
I think the English boys.
I think for Toto, his preference would be after Hamilton, Nick de Vries, George Russell.
Well, obviously George Russell.
No, I know, but that's why I'm saying. That's why I'm saying as a pairing. I can't see it. For me, Lando Norris to Red Bull makes sense, and I think it will happen in the next couple of years or so. Next question, quickly before we finish, is from Jake. Would you rather be a Premier League player or an F1 driver? It's easy for me. An F1 driver.
Yeah, I think
you get to travel the world. You get to drive fast cars.
I think it's a lot more fun. I think
And you get paid good money.
the pressure of football, oh my God, the fans are toxic as hell. Yeah, I think being an F1 driver would be more fun, but a lot more terrifying.
Well, yeah, you obviously you go in there with the confidence of
And
being
I'm
an
better
F1
at
driver.
football than I am driving.
No, mate, you're crap at football.
I'm really crap at driving.
Right, guys, we're going to end the podcast there. I'm glad we're back. Luke, I actually missed it more than I thought. Coming back, chatting about F1, I like it. But you guys, remember, check us out on all social medias. If you're watching on YouTube, hit a like, subscribe if you're new. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or any other audio platform, leave us a rating. We really appreciate it. 5-star would be great. We'll be back next week after Singapore Grand Prix. And yeah, have a good week. Take care. Luke, bye-bye.
Bye.
What a weird ending.
Yeah.
Bye, everyone. Bye.